Here's something most men don't want to hear. Being a good guy isn't enough to keep a woman around. You can love her with all your heart, treat her like a queen, and still she'll walk away. Why? Because what women want is not just love and care, it's deeper than that. They crave connection, excitement, and a sense of purpose in the relationship. And when a man becomes so consumed with trying to be her everything, he unknowingly drains the relationship of its spark. Let's be clear, women don't leave because you were too kind or too caring. They leave because somewhere along the way, you stopped being the man they admired. Maybe you started putting her needs so far above your own that you lost yourself. Maybe you became predictable, boring, or too accommodating. The truth is, women aren't just looking for comfort. They're looking for someone they can respect, someone who challenges them, and someone who holds his own. Here's where it gets controversial. Sometimes caring too much comes across as weakness. When you prioritize her to the point of neglecting your own goals, ambitions, and boundaries, she starts to feel like she's leading the relationship. And trust me, no woman wants to be in that position for long. She'll start to resent the dynamic, even if she can't explain why. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how women are often drawn to men who seem indifferent or hard to get? It's not because they enjoy being ignored, it's because those men exude confidence, mystery, and a life of their own. They create a sense of challenge, and women respect that. So if you've ever wondered why she left when you did everything right, this is your wake-up call. It's not about being good to her, it's about being good for her. That means maintaining your individuality, your boundaries, and your sense of purpose, no matter how much you care. In this video, we're going to break it all down. We'll explore why women leave men who seem to care the most and what you can do to make sure it doesn't happen to you. Let's get into it. 1. You're too available. This is the mistake that almost every man makes when he's trying to win over a woman. He becomes too available. The moment you stop having your own life, your own goals, and your own time, you start losing her respect. Here's why. Availability without boundaries feels weak and desperate. Women are drawn to men who have their own schedule, their own passions, and their own space. Think about it. When a man is always available, always dropping everything to cater to her, it creates a sense of dependency. You become the person she can rely on, yes, but also the person she takes for granted. You might think it's the right thing to do, being there for her whenever she needs you. But the truth is, it makes you predictable and takes away the excitement in the relationship. Women want a man who's got a life outside of her. They want someone who values his time and doesn't just drop everything at her beck and call. The more you make yourself available, the more you risk her getting bored of the relationship because it becomes too easy. There's no mystery left, no excitement. She knows you're always going to be there, and that makes you less of a challenge. For example, let's say she's had a tough day and you're ready to drop everything and rush to her side. That's nice, but here's the kicker. If you always do this, she starts to take it for granted. You're always there to solve her problems, always at her disposal. She doesn't have to chase you, earn your attention, or wonder about you. Your constant availability loses its value. What happens then? She starts to lose respect for the fact that you're always there to fix things, and that respect is crucial to any relationship. Now, here's the key. Be there for her, but don't let her take your time for granted. Keep your own life interesting. When you're busy doing your own thing, whether it's working on your goals, hanging out with friends, or enjoying time alone, you're showing her that you have a life outside of the relationship. And that's incredibly attractive. When you let her know that your time is valuable and you don't drop everything for her, that's when she'll start chasing you. Remember, the less available you are, the more valuable you become in her eyes. Women need space to miss you, to appreciate you, and to feel like they're putting an effort too. The key is balance. Be there for her, but never at the expense of your own life. 2. You lose yourself. One of the biggest reasons women leave men who care about them is because those men lose themselves in the process of trying to make the relationship work. You stop being the man she was initially attracted to. Why? Because you start bending over backward to please her, to meet her needs, and to keep her happy at the cost of your own identity. Women are drawn to men with a strong sense of self. A man with his own passions, goals, and direction in life is magnetic. But when you start putting her at the center of everything, you begin to fade into the background. The very traits that made you stand out, your confidence, ambition, and individuality start to disappear. And when that happens, she begins to see you differently. You're no longer the strong, independent man she admired. You're just another guy who's too afraid to let her go. Losing yourself also means losing your boundaries. You become so focused on making her happy that you say yes to everything, even when it goes against your values or priorities. A woman doesn't respect a man who has no boundaries. She needs to see that you stand for something, that you're not willing to compromise your principles just to keep her around. When you lose that, you lose her respect, and eventually, her interest. Imagine a guy who loved playing music or building his career before he got into a relationship. Over time, he stops pursuing those things because he wants to spend all his time with her. At first, she might appreciate the attention, but eventually, she'll start to miss the man who had a fire in his soul. That drive, that ambition, was part of what made her fall for him in the first place. When it's gone, the relationship starts to feel stagnant, and she starts looking for that spark elsewhere. The solution? Never stop being you. Keep pursuing your goals, your passions, and your personal growth. A healthy relationship doesn't mean giving up your identity. It means bringing your best self to the table. When you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, you not only keep her interest, but you also maintain your own sense of fulfillment and purpose. Women want to be with a man who inspires them, not one who loses himself for them. Hold on to who you are, and she'll hold on to you. 3. You stop challenging her. Women want to feel a sense of challenge in a relationship. It's not about playing games or being difficult. It's about maintaining a dynamic where she feels like there's always something to strive for. When you stop challenging her, emotionally, intellectually, or even in how you live your life, you start to lose her attention and admiration. At the beginning of most relationships, there's excitement because both people are constantly trying to impress each other. You're confident, witty, and full of surprises. But somewhere along the line, men who care too much can fall into a trap. You get comfortable. You stop being the guy who made her laugh, think, and question things. Instead, you become predictable, agreeable, and easy to figure out. And while stability is important in a relationship, too much comfort can kill attraction. When a woman doesn't feel challenged, she starts to feel like the relationship is on autopilot. There's no new energy, no curiosity, no tension to keep her engaged. She might even begin to wonder if this is all there is. You stop being a source of inspiration or excitement, and the spark that initially drew her to you starts to fade. Women are naturally drawn to men who push them to grow and evolve. This doesn't mean constantly debating or creating conflict. It means being someone who keeps her thinking, striving, and feeling alive. Maybe it's encouraging her to chase her dreams, or standing firm on your own beliefs, even when she disagrees. Whatever it is, she needs to feel like she's in a relationship with a man who's strong in himself and not afraid to challenge her. When you stop challenging her, it also sends an unspoken message. You've settled. And when you settle, she feels like the relationship has reached its peak. Women crave emotional stimulation and a sense of discovery, even in long-term relationships. If you're not offering that, she might start looking elsewhere for that spark. The truth is, women leave when they stop feeling inspired. If you want to keep her, you need to keep showing her the man she was initially drawn to, the one who made her feel like every day was an opportunity for growth, adventure, and connection. Be the challenge she can't resist, not the comfort she takes for granted. 4. You overwhelm her with your neediness. Neediness is one of the quickest ways to push a woman away, even if you think it's a sign of affection. It's the kind of behavior that makes her feel trapped and suffocated, even though you're just trying to show that you care. When you constantly seek reassurance, crave attention, and rely on her for emotional support all the time, it creates an unhealthy dynamic. Nobody wants to feel like they're responsible for someone else's happiness. And while it's normal to want validation or emotional closeness, when you lean too heavily on her for your sense of worth, it becomes overwhelming. Women are drawn to men who are secure in themselves, who don't need constant affirmations to feel good about their relationship. When you act needy, you're essentially asking her to fill a void that you should be filling for yourself. This doesn't mean you shouldn't express your feelings or have emotional moments. It's about balance. Needing her attention all the time or constantly needing her to reassure you of her feelings is exhausting. It creates an imbalance in the relationship where the emotional energy is one-sided. She starts to feel like she has to carry the weight of your insecurities, and that's not what a healthy partnership is about. When you overwhelm her with your emotional neediness, It makes her feel like she's more of a caretaker than a partner. Over time, that can lead to emotional burnout. She might start to pull away because she feels like there's no room for her to breathe. And instead of feeling loved and cared for, she starts to feel responsible for your emotional state. This isn't attractive to women, and it's ultimately unsustainable. The key here is to learn self-sufficiency. Cultivate your own emotional resilience. Work on your self-esteem and your own fulfillment, so you're not relying on her to fill gaps that are yours to manage. Being emotionally independent doesn't mean you can't lean on her at times. It means you're not demanding it constantly. When you stop relying on her to validate your worth, you shift the dynamic. You become the kind of man who is confident, grounded, and whole, and that's the man she'll respect. Remember, healthy relationships are about mutual support, not one person being responsible for the other's happiness. 5. You make her the priority. When you make a woman the center of your world, it may feel like the ultimate way to show love and commitment, but in reality, it often backfires. No one wants to feel like someone's entire life revolves around them. While it might seem romantic at first, over time it becomes overwhelming and worse, unattractive. A woman wants to be an important part of your life, not your whole life. When you prioritize her above everything else, your goals, your friends, your passions, it creates an imbalance in the relationship. She starts to see you as someone who lacks direction, independence, or a sense of self. Women are naturally drawn to men who have their own lives, ambitions, and boundaries. If you abandon all of that to put her on a pedestal, you're not showing love, you're showing desperation. Think about how relationships begin. At the start, there's mystery, curiosity, and a sense of adventure. You're focused on your life, she's focused on hers, and you're slowly getting to know each other. But once you start canceling plans, giving up hobbies, and bending over backward to accommodate her every need, that spark begins to fade. Why? Because the excitement of being with you came from the life you were already building, not from her becoming your sole focus. It's natural to want to make someone feel special. But there's a difference between showing care and sacrificing your identity. When a woman senses that she's become your top priority, she may start to feel smothered or even guilty for being the reason you've stopped chasing your own dreams. That guilt often turns into resentment, and resentment is a relationship killer. A healthy relationship thrives when both people maintain their individuality. You can love her deeply and still prioritize your career, health, and personal growth. In fact, when you're focused on improving yourself and achieving your goals, you become more attractive. She sees a man with purpose, someone she can respect and admire. Making a woman your priority doesn't mean neglecting her, but it does mean ensuring you don't neglect yourself. Your goals, your passions, and your dreams shouldn't take a back seat to the relationship. Instead, let the relationship be a part of your journey, not the destination. A woman is happiest when she knows you love her, but she'll stay when she sees you love and value yourself just as much. Keep your priorities in balance, and she'll never stop chasing you. 6. You become predictable. Predictability is one of the fastest ways to dull the spark in a relationship. When you become predictable, you lose the element of intrigue that keeps a woman curious and excited about you. It's not just about doing the same things every day. It's about falling into patterns that make you seem too familiar, too routine, and ultimately, less interesting. At the start of a relationship, everything feels exciting because it's new. She's learning about you, discovering your quirks, and wondering what you'll do or say next. But when your behavior becomes too consistent, texting at the same time every day, planning the same dates, or always responding in the exact same way, she starts to feel like she already knows everything there is to know about you. That kills mystery, and mystery is a key ingredient in attraction. Women are naturally drawn to men who keep them on their toes, not in a manipulative way, but in a way that keeps the relationship dynamic. If she can predict every move you make, she may start to take you for granted. Predictability gives the impression that you're no longer putting effort into the relationship, or that you're overly reliant on routine. Either way, it's not a good look. This doesn't mean you need to act erratic or play games. It's about maintaining a sense of adventure and keeping the relationship fresh. When you challenge yourself to try new things, explore different interests, and embrace spontaneity, you bring that energy into the relationship. Women love a man who can surprise them, not just with grand gestures, but with his thoughts, actions, and passion for life. When you're predictable, It also signals that you might be too available. Availability is good to a degree, but being constantly accessible can diminish your value. She might start thinking, he'll always be there no matter what, which can lead to complacency on her part. Attraction thrives on a little bit of uncertainty, a sense of wonder about where things are going and who you're becoming. A predictable man stops growing, and that's where the problem lies. Growth is attractive because it shows ambition and drive. When you stop growing, you stop being the person she fell for. To keep her interested, focus on your own evolution. Learn new skills, take on challenges, and keep evolving as a person. Being predictable might feel safe, but it's not exciting. A woman wants a partner who keeps life interesting, someone who reminds her why she fell in love in the first place. Keep her guessing, not about your love, but about the adventures and possibilities that come with being with you. 7. You let her walk all over you. A man who allows a woman to walk all over him sends a clear message. He doesn't respect himself, so why should she? Relationships thrive on mutual respect, and once a woman sees that she can manipulate or dominate you, the dynamic shifts. The moment you let her treat you like a doormat, you lose your position as a man she admires and values. Women test boundaries. It's not malicious, it's instinctual. They want to know where you stand, how much you value yourself, and whether you can hold your own. When you fail these tests by saying yes to everything, avoiding confrontation, or letting her disrespect you, you don't come across as kind or accommodating. You come across as weak, and nothing kills attraction faster than weakness. Letting her walk all over you might look like tolerating rude behavior, always apologizing even when you're not wrong, or sacrificing your needs and values just to keep her happy. At first, she might enjoy the power it gives her, but over time, she'll lose respect for you. Without respect, there's no real connection, and without connection, the relationship is doomed. A healthy relationship requires balance. Both partners should feel heard, valued, and respected. When you let her control every decision, dictate your actions, or undermine your confidence, you're not fostering love. You're enabling toxicity. A woman doesn't want a puppet, she wants a partner, someone who can stand up for himself and set boundaries when needed. Standing your ground doesn't mean being confrontational or aggressive. It means knowing your worth and refusing to accept behavior that undermines your dignity. If she's late to plans without explanation, let her know it's not okay. If she belittles your dreams, tell her you won't tolerate negativity. These moments of self-respect aren't about punishing her, they're about showing her that you value yourself. Men often let women walk all over them because they're afraid of losing the relationship. They think saying no or addressing issues will drive her away. But here's the truth. If standing up for yourself scares her off, she was never worth your time. A strong woman respects a strong man. Women may not admit it, but they crave a partner who challenges them, who holds them accountable, and who isn't afraid to call them out when necessary. This dynamic creates balance and mutual respect, which keeps the relationship alive and thriving. Never let her walking over you become a pattern. Love isn't about losing yourself in the process. It's about building something together where both people feel empowered. Respect yourself, and she'll have no choice but to respect you too. 8. You ignore your own needs. When you ignore your own needs in a relationship, you're setting yourself up for failure. It may seem noble to prioritize her happiness over your own, but in reality, it's a dangerous game. A man who constantly sacrifices his own well-being, desires, and ambitions for the sake of keeping a woman happy ends up losing not just himself but also her respect. A relationship should be a partnership, not a one-sided effort where you give everything and get little in return. When you neglect your needs, you teach her that your feelings, dreams, and goals don't matter. Over time, this imbalance creates resentment, frustration, and emotional exhaustion. She might start to feel like she's with someone who lacks direction or self-worth. That's not attractive. It's draining. Men often fall into this trap because they think being selfless will make her love them more. They believe that by putting her first in everything, they'll prove their value and dedication. But here's the truth. A woman won't value you if you don't value yourself. If you're always giving without ever taking, she'll begin to take you for granted. Ignoring your own needs can manifest in many ways. Maybe you give up your hobbies because she doesn't enjoy them. Maybe you stop hanging out with your friends because she wants all your time. Maybe you make career choices based on what works for her instead of pursuing your passions. These compromises might seem small at first, but over time, they chip away at your sense of identity. Women are drawn to men who have a life outside the relationship, men with purpose, ambition, and individuality. When you ignore your needs, you become a shadow of who you once were. She fell for the man who had drive and dreams, not the one who abandoned them to please her. It's important to remember that putting yourself first isn't selfish. It's necessary. A healthy relationship requires two whole individuals coming together, not one person shrinking to make the other comfortable. When you take care of your own needs, physically, emotionally, and mentally, you bring your best self to the relationship. That's what she wants, a confident, fulfilled partner, not someone who's running on empty. Start by recognizing your value. What makes you happy? What fulfills you? Whether it's hitting the gym, advancing in your career, or taking time for hobbies, these things matter. Communicate your needs openly and honestly. A woman who truly cares about you will respect your boundaries and encourage you to grow. When you stop ignoring your needs, you'll notice a shift, not just in how you feel about yourself, but also in how she sees you. Confidence, self-respect, and a sense of purpose are magnetic. They make you a man worth chasing, not a man who's chasing validation. So, stop putting yourself last. Prioritize your well-being, and you'll find that the relationship improves naturally. A fulfilled man is an attractive man. 9. You stop building your life. The moment you stop building your own life, you lose your edge. Men who stop striving for their own goals and ambitions lose the very qualities that make them attractive. A woman doesn't want to be with someone who's stagnating, who isn't growing or progressing. She wants a man who has a vision, who is constantly evolving, and who is on a path towards something greater than just the relationship. When you make her the center of your world, neglecting your own dreams and ambitions, you're essentially telling her that she's all that matters. While this might seem romantic or selfless in the short term, in the long run, it sends a damaging message. You have no purpose outside of her, and that's a huge turnoff. Women are naturally drawn to men who are focused, driven, and passionate about something beyond the relationship. It could be their career, a hobby, a cause they believe in, or a personal development journey. When a man loses sight of these things, he becomes predictable and, even worse, dependent. He may rely too heavily on her for emotional fulfillment, happiness, and validation. This drains the woman, and the attraction slowly fades. When you stop building your life, you also stop building yourself. Without growth, there's nothing new to bring to the relationship. You become complacent, and the spark that once existed starts to die out. Relationships thrive on progress and change, and if you're not growing, the relationship will stagnate as well. It's easy to fall into the trap of focusing too much on the relationship and not enough on your personal goals. But the truth is, by neglecting your growth, you make the relationship weaker. Your growth, both as an individual and in your career, helps the relationship grow stronger because it brings new perspectives, experiences, and energy to the table. A woman wants a man who is focused on his future. She doesn't want someone who is only existing in the moment. She wants someone who has a vision for his life and who is making strides toward achieving that vision. This kind of energy is magnetic. So, ask yourself, are you still building your life, or have you let it fall to the side? Are you still chasing your dreams, or have you given them up to keep the peace or please her? If you're not actively building something for yourself, it's time to wake up and get back on track. Your value isn't defined by the relationship. It's defined by your personal growth and the direction you're headed. When you stop building your life, you stop being the man she was originally attracted to. Keep pushing yourself forward, and she'll keep pushing toward you. A man with a purpose is one she won't want to lose. 10. You give up your masculinity. The moment you start abandoning your masculinity, you set yourself up for failure in the relationship. Masculinity isn't about being dominant or controlling. It's about being strong, assertive, confident, and decisive. It's about being a man who knows who he is, what he stands for, and where he's going in life. When you give up these traits to appease her or anyone else, you lose the very qualities that attract women in the first place. A woman is naturally drawn to a man who embodies his masculinity, who isn't afraid to lead, who sets boundaries, and who can make decisions without hesitation. When you stop being true to your masculine energy, you start becoming passive, indecisive, and overly sensitive to her needs and desires. You end up seeking her approval for everything, and you stop making decisions for yourself. This type of behavior creates an imbalance in the relationship. It puts her in the position of being the leader, which isn't what she wants. She wants a man who stands firm, who speaks with conviction, and who takes charge when necessary. If you give that up, she will start to feel like she's the one who's carrying the weight. She'll begin to lose respect for you, and eventually, the attraction starts to fade. Women want a man who's emotionally steady, who's not afraid to be vulnerable, but who doesn't let his emotions completely control him. When you abandon your masculinity, you start relying on her for emotional support, validation, and guidance, making her feel more like a caregiver than a partner. You might tell yourself that it's okay to become more sensitive and give up your boldness or assertiveness, thinking it will bring you closer to her. But in reality, this only weakens your position in the relationship. Men who are too emotionally dependent or overly passive quickly become unattractive because they lack direction and strength. Women want a partner, not a dependent. When you give up your masculinity, you also give up your sense of purpose. A man who doesn't lead his own life will struggle to lead in a relationship. You may start giving up your own hobbies, desires, and goals just to make her happy, thinking that it will bring you closer. But in the end, she'll see you as someone who has no direction, and it will eventually drain her emotionally. If you've started giving up your masculinity, it's time to recognize that this is the moment when you need to reassert your boundaries. It's not about becoming an emotionless robot, but about maintaining your strength, confidence, and decisiveness in your decisions. A woman is attracted to a man who knows his worth and isn't afraid to be himself. Get back to being the man who's unapologetically strong and assertive in every aspect of life. When you do, the attraction, respect, and love will follow. Here's a controversial truth. Women don't leave men who don't care about them. They leave the men who care too much. Yeah, you heard that right. The moment you start putting her above everything else, the moment you start losing yourself, she starts losing respect for you. Women respect men who have a life of their own, who are not afraid to be strong, independent, and purpose-driven. You might think showering her with affection and attention will keep her close, but in reality, it can suffocate the relationship. If you're finding yourself constantly struggling with why a woman who says she loves you still walks away, it might be because you've abandoned the things that made you a man she was originally attracted to. Stop making her your entire world and start building your own life again. I want to hear your experiences. What's happened when you've cared too much or lost your way? Drop a comment below. Share your thoughts, and I'll personally reach out. Let's connect and discuss how you can stop making the same mistakes. Because trust me, when you get this right, she won't just stay, she'll chase you.